He ghosted me, but still watches my story. Why does he do that? So it's an aspect of feeling like power and control of like I still know and still understand like what you're doing. I would block. There's no reason why he needs to be able to look in that unless you actually want to go back, unless you want that toxicity. So be really careful. To keep an eye on you. Yep, control, keeping tabs. Yep, a lot of people saying. Yeah, a lot of that goes. A narcissist thinks like knowledge is power, so they think like if I just know everything about you, then I'm like powerful, then I have a leverage. When it's not true, but it also makes you feel like it is true. So like there's a piece there that's also like psychological. And once you get to the place of understanding, like, hey, you have the power just to block him and just continue to move forward. When you block, you start to have capacity to actually grow, to actually heal. Like the game changes completely of how much you're able to access, of how much you're able to work through. I'm a month out, went back 4 times, never again. Yeah, a lot of times people will go back. A lot of times people will get hoovered back in, get sucked back in, get reverse hoovered back in, all different types of things because they start believing a story. They start believing a lie. They're like, maybe this is different. It's wild. I'm in the same boat. Jennifer, yeah, definitely reach out for help. Like if you're at the place where you're like, hey, I need to know about narcissistic abuse and how to start working through it, escapetoxicity.com. If you're at the place where you're like, wait a second, I know what it is. I want to start working on breaking the trauma bond, like piece by piece, claritychallenge.net. Like a lot of it, we work through it to help you systematically break the trauma bond. Do you recommend we expose the narcissist even if we are not afraid of them? Ken, I would ask, like, what's the purpose? Like if it helps you heal, then you could be looking at it. But otherwise, like, what's the point? A lot of times people want to do exposure just for revenge and they never actually get the healing they're looking for because they're so focused on hurting the other person. Leave only when you're ready, otherwise you'll go back again and again. A lot of times people aren't ready until they leave too. Like it's a hard balance in between. Until you get to the place where you actually understand the story that you believe is incorrect, is hope, potential, is a lie that you're believing. Like you could leave and you'll still get sucked in. So like understanding once you leave, it gives you space to heal, but you have to work on the mindset. Horrible relationship with my next a narcissist ex-husband. It seems like he picks up as if he and the girlfriend on the outs comment. Yeah, no, absolutely. Just kind of picks it. His BS picks up if he and the girl. Yeah, 100% because he's getting affected by that relationship and he's taking out on you. Question to ask someone while dating to know if they have narcissistic traits. There's one that went around for a while of like how do you identify with being called a narcissist, or do you identify with narcissistic traits? There's something like that. At the end of the day, you're looking for someone that's not going to respect boundaries, that's going to be moving really fast in the relationship, that's not going to be like really respecting you. Like it's kind of a push-pull. I would tell them no, see how they respond with that. There's a lot of different pieces. You'll say no, and then they'll end up pushing through your boundaries anyways. Ex of 8.5 years, hanging out with all her friends, Caroline, and she did the same. Meantime, I found out his friend had some of the stuff. I don't know how to get over this. I don't even want to leave my house. I get asked out a lot right now. I have kind of lost track of that. I'm so sorry. I'm not sure where we're going with that. I couldn't believe the power of blocking before I was educated on it. Every time I would break up, I swore it was the last time, but he always came back. Yeah, hope a lot of times like they come back. Like the longest one I know of is 27 years. Mine left me, then kept coming back when his girlfriend and him would be on the breakup. Yeah, we break up once a week. Yeah, 100%. My son's father gave up his parental rights, claiming it was my fault, yet he is raising his girlfriend's kids. Yeah, because it looks good for him right now. It looks good that he's raising her kids versus actually taking care of his kids. We were told only those who wrote down their goals would be successful. Yeah. I mean, those that write down their goals, that declare the goals, actually say it and actually track it. If you don't track it, it still doesn't happen. Not only material things, that's for me really important. I didn't connect with that one. It doesn't help when you leave and toxic family members basically push you back in a relationship after you finally leave in the situation. Yeah, because you have to get to the place where like those toxic people, like you cut those people out as well. Like it's not just enough to cut out one. You got to cut out all if you're going to go like no contact and actually be toxic free. Been no contact with him since October. I hope I've heard the last. Amanda, you only hear the last when you make sure you hear the last. At the end of the day, like it won't. He can come back anytime. It just depends on like how you make sure that he can't. Make sure he's blocked. Make sure he doesn't have access. My narcissists do everything with the new supply that I wanted in the relationship. Stacy, a lot of times it's already to trigger you to make you feel like you're the bad person. Also, a lot of times they'll do it because they knew that's what you actually want in the relationship, and they're not really smart enough to think of new stuff for the new person, so they just take that to the next relationship. Like ultimately, a lot of times we'll see that happen. A lot of times it's to trigger you. This is my experience many times until I finally left and moved to the other side of the country. Yeah. A lot of times there's this piece of like you have to leave and then you also have to like go. Like you have to have a vision of who you want to be. If you leave and you don't figure out who you are, you'll go back. If you leave and you don't figure out this is the direction I want to go, you'll go back. Like this happens over and over and over. This is why like setting goals is so important, of actually moving forward, of like I have a vision, I have values of where I want to go, I have a vision of who I want to be. If you don't, a lot of times you will end up back in the toxic relationship. I had to leave them all behind. Yeah, 100%. I have a daughter with one and she's 14 now, starting to see things for the way they really are with him. Yeah, no, 100%. A lot of times it takes a while for them to see it, but once they see it, it's like really life-changing. Biggest thing is be supportive of the kids as they start to learn it. The second I figured out who I was, got therapy, and learned he was controlling me, he ran. Yeah, 100%. And it scares them when they actually know that you know who they are and you're willing to stand up with it. Problem is, majority of the time, narcissists can distract you from that. Okay? How do you get that vision? A lot of it's aligning with like what do you actually value. You're like, I don't even know like who or what I would be. What do you value and who do you want to become? So it'd be like, think of it this way. Like if you have like 3 best friends, like what 3 words would you want to describe you? Like when you die, like how would you want your friends to actually describe you? If they actually talk to you, what would you want them to say? You know, then you're like, okay, how do I start scripting out a life that looks like that? How do I start living that direction? How do I start living with intentionality moving forward? Then we just start scripting out what do you actually want? Like what do you want in your body? Like how do you want your body to look, to be, to feel? Like what weight, what percentage, well, all this kind of stuff. Like how do you want your spirituality, your mental, your emotional state, like your happiness level, like your business, like where do you want to be in your business or your growth? Like how much do you want to make? Like how do you want to make sure that happens? How much do you want to save? Like how do you want that to be in relationships? Like what type of relationship you're looking for? All these things, we're like deciding like, hey, this is where you want to go. Like this is what we do. Like we do this in a big event of deciding where you want to be in the year, and then we do this every single month inside of our Thriver community. It's like a 4-hour event right now where we're focusing on like what is the pivot that we need to do to be able to reach that vision, to get to be the version that actually stands on a beacon and is like shedding light of like, hey, this is what's actually going on. This is who I'm going to be regardless what everybody makes me feel. The leaving and the going back is familiar. I moved out, but still contact inboxes. We can be friends. Is that possible? No, not with a narcissist. After you've been with them, it's not possible. Hopes we can be friends. It's not possible. Narcissist just does that, try to manipulate you. I called out of the other thing. Ben, do you think websites like porn were made to weaken us and make us more susceptible to narcissistic control? We should take our health more seriously, right? I'm not sure where we're going with that. I think websites or porn are made to just be converting models of getting people addicted and paying money. I mean, that's really what it is. Ultimately, porn is what destroys a lot of marriages and a lot of relationships and gets people addicted to stuff they don't know how to get off of. Do narcissists always discard the next person? Do they treat the next person better? No, they don't treat the next person better. It's just a different mask. You just see a different version of it. Remember, you're watching it from the outside looking in. Like, you're looking at it being like, wait a second, I think he's treating her better. Well, you're only seeing the love bombing external part of it.